What's happening, guys? Oh man, so there is a lot that we need to talk about, to say the least. And this is following up from Darkseid being restored, and after being restored, being transformed again into something else. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can catch the spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so you can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so now if you're new to the channel and you're not 100% sure about Darkseid, how he got restored from being the Darkseid baby we saw in Dark Knight's Metal, I've previously done a couple videos explaining how that came about and even reaching back to Darkseid War, going through Darkseid Metal, Dark Knight's Metal, following Darkseid all the way up till this point. Because as of right now, there's not really a 2018 Darkseid series that's following him specifically, but what I wanted to do by way of this playlist is pull a lot of these pieces together from these different series, from Dark Knight's Metal, from Justice League No Justice, from Wonder Woman, and really from all over, and bring them all into one place, because I know a lot of the time readers get discouraged from reading so many issues and still not understanding what's going on. And that's what the Dopespill is here for, because my intention by the end of this playlist, you guys will have a better understanding of how Darkseid went from about 5,000 pounds down to about 260. And those numbers aren't exact, I kind of just made those numbers up. But the principle of his appearance being a lot smaller than what it was before. And that specifically is going to be the focus of this video, or at least the primary focus. There's also a few Shazam Easter eggs that we've been given lately that's kind of flown under the radar, so I'll talk about a few of those here, and we'll elaborate on the rest of those later on. Alright, so starting with Darkseid. After being fully restored from the Darkseid baby, once again linked in the description for more details on that, but when he returned and he was fully restored, he was still a bit different than the Darkseid that we'd seen from Darkseid War. And that's even taking into account the different versions of Darkseid we got within Darkseid War, and both of which within that series were Super Diesel, because you have your Darkseid who went into Darkseid War and was defeated by the Anti-Monitor, and did this by pretty much using his own weapon against him, but then you also have when he came back, and Grail used the newborn child of Lex Luthor and Superwoman to absorb the anti-life equation and also bring back Darkseid. And I go into more detail of how that turned out in other videos, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that here. But long story short, that Darkseid was destroyed, turned to a baby, and was fed old gods until he was back at full size. And I'm going to tell you right now, them old gods must have a lot of protein or they pack a ton of calories because he put on that weight mad quick. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Dwayne Johnson was out here eating old guys for breakfast, because the gains right here is ridiculous. But with Darkseid coming back and being fully restored, at this point in time, his abilities were very different. And a lot of that has to do with his transformations prior to this point. First with becoming Darkseid, then in addition to that, his death and resurrections. And at this point in time, within the Wonder Woman series, we see a Darkseid that fled from the Justice League mainly because he wasn't aware of the capacity of his strength or his power. And because of that, he set up shop in a temple hidden in the Amazon jungle that was rich with ancient energy, both with old magic and new god science. And that's an important combination not just for Darkseid, but also for the device that he's building so he can produce his new army. And these are the main reasons why he's hiding in this location. And that's so he can build this device in a location where not only he can lay low from the Justice League, but also it works out in his favor that Wonder Woman can't find this place, because then she will also get the Justice League, bring them here, and he don't know if he's ready for that. But the reason that Wonder Woman is so disconnected from Themyscira, and the reason why she can't find this temple, it all really goes back to her new origin that we got in DC Rebirth. Because in her more recent origin, back in Themyscira, she came across this tree that we would later find out was also a doorway. But when she approached this tree, she was bitten by a snake, and it caused her to lose consciousness for a while. But this took place shortly before Steve Trevor landed in Themyscira. And with Steve Trevor landing in Themyscira, he in turn was the reason why she became Wonder Woman, and the reason why she left Themyscira after that. But the important thing to take from this is once Diana left Themyscira, that she was never able to find it again or return back. And not only did she make a number of attempts to try to find it, but she's also made the attempt to ask Cheetah for help, because Cheetah was helping Veronica Kell find a tree that sounded a lot like the same tree that is in Themyscira where Wonder Woman was bitten. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Veronica Kell, just real quick, like within the Wonder Woman series, she's like your Lex Luthor antagonist versus your Superman. Straight up, like Lex Luthor, Superman, you have Veronica Kell, Wonder Woman. And the dynamic between the two is almost identical. But with Wonder Woman not being able to find Themyscira and being disconnected from this Amazon temple, this made it the perfect place for Darkseid to set up shop, in the addition to the resources that were there that would help him build his device. But keep in mind, at this time, he's trying to lay low and not bring too much attention to himself. That attention being the Justice League, of course. But in order to keep laying low and still retrieve the parts that he needed, he would have others retrieve those parts and bring them to him. And in the process, a few of them would have run-ins with Wonder Woman, and as a result, 2 of them were actually taken into custody and arrested by Argus, which of course placed key components that Darkseid needed in Argus custody. And there's another one from this group, I can't think of their name right now, but she was either killed or badly injured because when Wonder Woman destroyed her mechanical suit, it was tied like into her neural system, and she ended up getting messed up pretty bad. A lot like when Iron Man fought Black Panther in their Megazord battle. Yeah, it was crazy. But after sending Grail to retrieve the last piece from the Wild Huntsman, she failed in retrieving the relic because she caught a surprise attack by Wonder Woman and her brother Jason. And Jason, who now can fly faster than Wonder Woman, mainly because of his new armor. But they end up getting to the other side of the world nearly super fast. And that's mainly because Jason's armor, in addition to the power that he already has, it also lends him the power of the old gods. You know, a particular set of powers that someone's not really using anymore. But either way, when Grail fails to get this last piece, now everything that Darkseid needs is pretty much locked up in Argus. But that's no sweat because Darkseid got something for that. Because this device that he's building is actually a boom tube. And because of where he's building it and the relics that he's using, once complete, this boom tube will be able to take him to Themyscira. But at this point in time, without all the pieces, it's not as powerful enough to do so. But it is powerful enough to get to Argus, and not to get Darkseid there, because he could easily get there and take it. But once again, he would be dealing with the Justice League. So instead, he's going to use this massive boom tube to use as is to bring Argus to himself. Because once he brings Argus to himself, he'll have all the relics he needs, and by the time the Justice League figures out what happened, it'll be too late to stop him. And this was a brilliant plan, like I ain't gonna front, just taking a chunk out of the building to get those last few relics back, because initially when this happened, Argus felt like they were under attack. They thought Darkseid was gonna show up at Argus. And for Darkseid, there's the good and the bad that come with this, because one, he totally catches him off guard to get what he needs, but at the same time, you also have Wonder Woman, Jason, Trevor, well really just Wonder Woman and Jason, but with bringing that chunk of Argus to where he is, he also ended up taking these guys over there as well. And I feel for these guys, these soldiers at least, man, because a lot of them didn't make it in one piece. But Darkseid could care less, because he's just trying to get the last few pieces in order to build his boom tube so he can get to Themyscira and acquire his new army. And so keep in mind, there are a few very important rules and strategies that come into play here. And the first 2 that I want to put emphasis on in referral to this temple are the old magic and the new god science, because that combination is what Darkseid needed in order to build this special boom tube. And part of that, mainly the old magic, also is a huge threat to him because it partially makes up who he is at this point in time. But when the last 3 relics are in place and he opens the boom tube, and when Diana sees Themyscira, she just jets for it. Now, if you've ever seen a bird hit a window, it's not necessarily a peaceful thing, it's pretty violent, but that's kind of what happened to Wonder Woman here. Because even though this doorway is open, if you've ever set foot on Themyscira and then later on left Themyscira, the old magic restricts you from going back. And this is where Grail comes in. Because Grail, even though she was born in Themyscira, and I believe on the same exact night as Wonder Woman and her twin brother Jason, but because she never literally set foot on Themyscira, like she was just a baby in her mother's arms, she never walked in Themyscira, and because of that, she's able to pass through. But in addition, she also takes with her a gauntlet that is reverse engineered from the relics that were stolen to strengthen her connection to the old power, because she's only half Amazon, which makes her perfect to carry this through. It's insane. And that's because her other half is connected to the Omega Sanction, so when she crosses over, she's able to use this gauntlet to convert the Amazonians into super soldier parademons, which was Darkseid's plan from the jump. Because the old parademons, man, like they just wasn't getting it done. But these new hybrids having the strength and speed of Amazon warriors, and on top of that, they can fly and they have the obedience of a parademon. And like, I don't know whether to be creeped out or to applaud Darkseid for this like brilliant idea. But at this point, Jason, he's pretty clever himself because he also has never stepped foot in Themyscira. So he makes his way for the portal, and it's pretty dope because Darkseid can't hit him with his Omega beams because Jason can literally turn into different elements like the wind and water. And because of that, he avoids getting hit and he gets through. But the even crazier thing, and it gets crazier, but what's amazing is like he meets his mother for the very first time and he's able to help her stop Grail. But it's kind of sad at the same time because he doesn't get much time to stay, and if he leaves he won't be able to return back. But what I mentioned earlier about the old magic and it being a threat to Darkseid, much like how I said the gauntlet gave Grail a connection to the old magic, in the same principle, Wonder Woman also has a direct connection to the old gods, and that's because her father is Zeus. But she uses that same connection to summon the old gods out of Darkseid, which is crazy because the same move that Darkseid used really just got flipped right back around on him. But as a result, this released all the old gods and demigods that Darkseid had consumed, and in turn destroyed him in the process. And Darkseid, while he was containing these old gods, there were other old gods that are already still out there. And as a result of Dark Knight's metal, these other old gods had to make decisions that were supposed to be made by Zeus, but because Zeus was consumed by Darkseid, they had to move forward without him. And that I'll get into more when we start talking about the dark gods and we talk about the Endless pretty soon. But back in Themyscira, Grail is placed in a prison with Ares. And so now this prison, I believe it's in that same tree where Diana had went to when she was bit by the snake. And I say that because later on she had went back to this tree, and when she returned and had a scuffle with Cheetah, the bite from the snake, which either didn't heal or open back up, but when a drop of her blood came out, it opened a doorway to where she found Ares locked within this prison. And that's where Grail is being held now, with Ares. And while she's in here, because of her connection to her father, that connection she has with Darkseid, and we talked about this earlier on the playlist because it's something we were shown back in Darkseid War, but because of this connection she has with her father, she refuses to believe that he's dead. And even though she has no clue where he is, deep down inside she still feels that connection telling her that he's not dead. And she's 100% right, because at this point in time, Darkseid is wandering around on Earth with no recollection of who he is, where he is, or what he's capable of. And it's here where he starts a new journey of figuring that out. And this is also a journey that eventually lands him a spot on the Justice League. But that's really the beginning of the story of how Darkseid looks so different going into the new Justice League series. But I'm gonna end this one right here. If you guys want me to do more videos on Darkseid, continuing to follow through, just let me know down in the comments. Smash the like button if you learned something new. And either way, we definitely got to talk about the connections between the old gods, the dark gods, and the new gods. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of that, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.